Hey, this is Donna Nova. I am back with session 17 of the MELAFON journals. Today, I woke up and began channeling him. He knows what's on my mind, so he continued the theme from yesterday, which is basically the state of the world right now being so freaky, and what do we do about it? So he is trying to teach people, besides just me, because I do already know some of these concepts, but he's trying to teach everybody how to live a better life. This is basic advice. This is really basic. It's not high concept. It might be for people who've never heard it before, but anybody in the spiritual community has already heard these concepts. But I believe he gives us some practical advice of how to use them. Because sometimes when you hear these concepts, the people that you hear them from don't even know actually how to put them into practice, and they don't practice what they preach. There's a lot of spiritual narcissism and egotism, and people who teach these things, but they don't actually know how to embody them themselves, or they don't bother. So they're not actually doing their spiritual work, and therefore their lives aren't really all they could be, because the work is essential. So I'm going to just get right into it with him and read from the... And like I've mentioned, I forgot to mention it just now, but MELAFON, if you don't know, is the being, well, that's what the name he gave me when I was blind remote viewing what turned out to be the Varginha, Brazil UFO event that is portrayed in the documentary Moment of Contact. There's part 1 you can watch for free on YouTube, but part 2 is a new updated version, and it's on Amazon Prime. I haven't even seen it yet, but I didn't know anything about this incident before I did my blind remote viewing. With blind remote viewing, that means all you have to go on are 8 target numbers. You have 8 random numbers. That's all you have. And then you have to go and just glean whatever psychic information you can from that. And in the end, it is revealed after you've done your session what you were looking at. So I was given this task by my teacher, and that's what it turned out to be. And judging from my remote viewing abilities, which are pretty good, and, because my psychic skills are already developed to a certain extent because of my interdimensional life and my metaphysical work. So I know that my information was accurate, and I described him as a very enlightened being. He's very fun, playful, exuberant, and he explained why. He said, I am a rare being, and I actually used him, I drew him as a unicorn, and it turned out he had 3 little horns. So my subconscious put a unicorn there because, there's a horn. And he also had red eyes, and on the unicorn I drew a red eye, which it was weird because that's not normally what I would do. So that's how your subconscious speaks to you during remote viewing. And I drew his ship accurately. I asked him, what does your ship look like? And I just drew an oval, a lozenge. It had nothing on it. It had no windows or anything. And then at the last minute, I drew fins on it. Well, when I watched the first documentary, it was a tic-tac shape that they showed, that the witnesses had seen. But also, he said, the witness said that he thought it was a blimp. So they showed a picture of a blimp, and it had the fins on it, just like I drew. I drew exactly what he said he saw. So all this evidence and the fact that I connected with MELAFON again in a second session deliberately, that's when he told me I could channel him if I would get up in the morning before I do anything else. That would be the best. And that's good advice for anybody. If you're trying to do automatic writing or meditate or journal or anything where you need to tap into your subconscious. Some people, they'll talk about the left brain and the right brain hemispheres. I don't necessarily know that it works that way. I think there's evidence that it doesn't. But that's the common terms that people know. If your right brain is not your egoic sort of logical mind, it's the more free-flowing and psychic part of yourself. And you can tap into that better before you're fully awake. And what I also do, just in case you're wondering, is I wear just to supplement, I wear a Neo Rhythm headband. And you can put it around your neck or your head, and you can, use a stretchy headband to secure it so it doesn't fall off, because you don't want to drop it. It's an electronic PEMF, pulsing electromagnetic field emitter. So it can put you into different brainwave states. And theta is a good brainwave state for meditation. So what I'll do is I'll get up in the morning and put this on theta, and before I go and do anything else or interact with humans, I will do this, channeling with him. And I'm not really paying attention to what he's saying. I mean, I'm conscious and awake and everything, but when I read it back, sometimes I'm like, oh, I forgot he said that, because I'm not thinking. I'm just writing. I just wrote for about an hour. It doesn't look like that much, but it feels like it took about an hour today. A little bit longer than usual. Okay, I'm just going to start reading. And like I said, I'm visually impaired, so if I don't get the whole page on the screen, that's because I'm holding it closer so I can read it. But it's more important that I read it accurately than that you look at it. You don't need to read it on the screen, so it really doesn't matter. But that's just so you know where I'm coming from. Okay. So today, it's March 5th, 2026. And I said, good morning, MELAFON. How are you? Thank you for all your help so far. I really appreciate it. And obviously, I'm in the blue, and everything he says is in this darker purplish color. And today, everything is basically in that color. I hardly said anything. So MELAFON says, good morning, human, which is his little joke. You are welcome. It is a pleasure to be in contact with you. I am doing well. I and my friends here know you and others on Earth are nervous about the state of the world right now. Rest assured, we and others in the higher realms and dimensions are here to be of service to those of you who are advanced and open enough to perceive. We see what is happening through a different lens and more deeply than you all do. Here's the next page. And I said, I know, and I'm grateful for your friendship and help. But one thing I wonder, if we need so much help, does that mean things are going to get so bad here that otherwise we wouldn't survive or have a decent life? I'm not interested in surviving dystopia. I'd rather just transcend into spirit if that's my choice, which is true. I have no interest in surviving a horrible world. We don't actually die when our body does. We continue our lives on the other side. So to me, physical demise is not really a problem. Honestly, that's going to be a great day for me. So I'm not interested in surviving at all costs. I want quality of life. Quality of life. That's my goal. So that's where I'm coming from. And MELAFON says, don't worry, it'll come soon enough. Most people at the end of their physical portion of Earth life feel that it was over sooner than they expected, like they didn't have enough time to do what they'd hoped to do. But do you see, next page, do you see how absurd that is when you have all these decades with which to explore life? How much time do you spend thinking about and doing things that are not relevant to your soul's path and the journey you truly wanted when you signed up for Earth School? Every moment, you all should be asking yourself the question, what can I do right now to enrich myself and my life on a truly deep and meaningful level? What is something I can do today, right now, that is an investment in myself and in my future? This next page. Consider the next phase of life, too, the non-physical. You already know you're simply going to continue as yourself in the higher dimensions of the non-physical. Chris, who's my twin flame in spirit, Chris shows you this truth. The investment you make in yourself now will continue to pay off even in the non-physical. You will simply find more and more of yourself there. Nothing is lost. You do not forget your humanity. Those people who imagine that we are all simply balls of light after Earth have not experienced the other side and higher dimensions. Like you have. Sure, you can be light. You are made of it. You can look however you want there. But that's by choice. Otherwise, you are still you. But more you than you ever were in a physical body. But you do still have a body in what some of you call the afterlife. It is made of energy, not physical matter, but it is still a body. The point being, physical life may seem endless when you're in the middle of it, but when it's over, you realize it was a blip, like a dream. Next page. Lucid dreaming is fun and empowering, so why not try lucid living? Imagine how your lives would change if you woke up and decided every day to make only conscious choices for your highest good. Most of you are not doing that all the time. In fact, most are never doing it. Even those of you who do try are still spending a good amount of time repeating unconscious patterns, behaviors, and beliefs. You already know this. The more conscious you can become of every single choice you make, large and small, next page, the better your life will be. You'll realize that other people's actions and beliefs, even when unfairly or toxically directed at you, have no authority over you. You are now conscious, which means you're sovereign. Freedom comes from inside. It truly is a state of mind. Literally everything is. Empowerment comes from knowing you co-create your reality. Disempowerment comes from passively letting other people and circumstances dictate your thoughts, beliefs, and state of being. Be lucid, not asleep, at the helm of your lives. Next page. You will see when you do this over time, and it doesn't even take that much time, that life begins to reveal gifts for you. Your abundance just shows up. Synchronicities abound in your favor. You become clear about what you want from a higher self perspective and not from the ego self. Most are now only trying to manifest from the lower mind or ego. That is not the way to truly manifest. You never even have to try and manifest anything if you're consciously co-creating all the time. Your part in the equation is to live consciously, lucidly, and to act, think, and believe with clear, pure intention. Stop focusing on what others are doing. They're mainly unconscious anyway. They shouldn't be your role models. They also shouldn't be your captors. If you live in this awakened way, you can leave the victimhood mentality behind. Things still happen to challenge you. That's what Earth School is about. But these things are set up by you and your guides, and your job is to creatively overcome the challenges, not to surrender and crumble at the first hurdle. Strong souls don't stay in victimhood. You are a perfect example. You once were in victimhood for the entire first part of your life until the goddess woke you up. And then he says, you woke yourself up, though, by choosing to practice and start meditating. By choosing to be proactive and start meditating. Which is true. I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening in 2015 when the goddess, who I later found out is God, she's also the same lady that Chris Bledsoe talks about in his books and his talks. I took a step to be proactive and invest in myself by learning to meditate. And 2 months later, I had a spontaneous bilocation to God, to the black light, the void, the center of the universe. And that was simply because my soul was ready and I took some conscious action. That's all it took. Think about how simple that is. It was a YouTube video that I was meditating to. It was just a short, guided meditation. It didn't have to be complicated. None of this has to be complicated. None of this has to be difficult. This is our natural state. All you have to do is take some action and understand and start educating yourself on how things really work. So that's a little background about me, and that's what he's referring to. Okay? So he says, I woke myself up by choosing to be proactive and start meditating. That's the whole point of this whole journal entry, is to be proactive and lucid in your life and invest in yourself. So then he says, victimhood as a long-term state is entered into as a belief in disempowerment. As you have proven to yourself in your own life, empowerment is also a belief. You get the reality you believe in. Yes, there are contrasts to show you the difference between what you prefer and don't prefer. Yes, there are challenges and hurdles, but you signed up for that class. You knew you could pass it. Remember that. If everyone focused on living a lucid conscious life, their realities would improve so much that the higher vibrations would change the experience for everyone. Living a conscious, awakened life raises your vibration. That contributes to the collective vibration. If everyone expands from there... it just expands from there. This is everyone's solitary work. It was never about changing other people. That behavior simply shows who knows how this reality works and who doesn't. Those who only focus on others and the outward reality without focusing inside themselves first are never going to get out of whatever situation they are in. They keep themselves there. Most of the restrictions you felt have been self-imposed. Even if a challenge exists for you or someone tries to restrict you, there are always ways to overcome that. Don't forget, some people chose more challenges. Like you, it's not unfair or a punishment. It is your curriculum. Okay, so basically he is saying Earth is a school, which you've heard before. That is my belief as well, and that you get to choose whatever curriculum you want. Now, I also channel Ram Dass, who was one of my favorite spiritual teachers, and what he has told me is that if Earth is a school, do I think I would make good grades if I didn't go to class? And I said,